Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! Yes.
43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. Jim Coyle with you here on this Thursday, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you so much for being with us. We always appreciate you immensely. Looking forward to another fun day. Shannon Griffith will join us here from Hoosier Tailgate. Of course, we'll talk some Indiana football. I've got a new exclusive interview that I did with Jamison J.T. Kitna, the son of former NFL quarterback John Kitna, who is in conversations with Indiana. Met him at the Rivals camp that I was at over the weekend, so we'll hear a bit from that as well. And you can go to our YouTube channel, of course, to hear that in full. Bob Kravitz, the man, joins us as well at in the first hour. We'll talk some Indy 500, but of course, he's also closely tracking the Indiana Pacers as they try to do the unthinkable and reach the they've reached the Eastern Conference Finals to reach the NBA Finals. So close again, a heartbreaking loss a couple of nights ago in overtime against the vaunted Boston Celtics. But we'll talk about that. Chris Denari will join us, of course, and we'll talk more about that with him as he is the voice of the Pacers, but others things as well. Indiana baseball on tap today as they try to continue moving forward in the Big Ten tournament. That will be going on. Actually, if you're depending on where you are, it's going on right now. If you're listening on radio, it's happening, but just wait till we're done to go pick up with it. They take on Ohio State in this second round. IU also landed 6 guys on the All Big Ten tournament team, which is a cool deal for them. So congratulations to those Hoosiers for managing that. See if I can get that pulled up quickly. Yeah, that's always good to have solid players. That shows that why you're succeeding or not. But left fielder Devin Taylor, of course, was Indiana's lone selection to the All Big Ten first team. Right-handed pitcher Connor Foley and DH Joy Brzezinski were both named to the league's second team. Shortstop Tyler Cherny made the third team. A trio of Hoosier freshmen, Brzezinski, Jacob Vogel, and second baseman Jason Oliver, all selected to the All Big Ten's all-freshman team. So a good mix of current veterans and the future talent that is coming along. So Taylor's selection makes him a first-team All Big Ten repeat. So congratulations to him. And he's only a sophomore. So that's pretty good. That shows that team is got a great mix, like I said, of youth and veteran leadership. And we'll see how they can do against Ohio State as they move forward today in the Big Ten tournament. Vogel closed the regular season with a team best 0.43 ERA in 18 appearances out of the Hoosiers bullpen. He ain't letting people score, which is not bad. That's pretty good. Brzezinski, as a redshirt freshman, had a strong first year. He closed out the regular season hitting .353. That's a freshman. Within the Big Ten conference play, he hit .407. That's some Ted Williams stuff there, baby. But that only ranks second in the Big Ten amongst players with 100 or more plate appearances. That's crazy. You have 2 guys hitting over 400, but that does happen. Speaking of which, yesterday I saw in a game involving Arkansas In college baseball, they use the aluminum bats. And there was a play where a guy at the plate, I forget where he hit the ball, but his bat broke as he came around and, the follow through and he pulled it back, the barrel of the bat just kind of went flying, and you can see him looking back as he takes off to run, but pretty wild. NBA is rolling on. The Dallas Mavericks. Russell says Dallas looks like a pretty good team last night on the road in the barn at Minnesota. Did they play in the barn? They don't play in the barn. But getting a road win, wow. Against the team that shut down the Nuggets, that came back from a 20-point deficit at Denver. That's a gigantic win. It's the same win that Indiana was this close to at Boston, losing in overtime. So the NBA Conference Finals getting off with a bang with these two games. Both have been great games. So that should be continued good TV to watch, because it's serious business time, people. Appreciate everybody hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Pop in with any questions or things. Cheryl Sizemore, how are you? Appreciate you. Don't forget, Indiana Sports Beat Radio brought to you by Andy Moore and powered by Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Just get more to your door by going to andymoorehonda.com. Get the best in new and used vehicles. Also, the Autograph app. Autograph is where real fans get unreal rewards. The first app to track and reward fans for loving what they love most, turning passion into access and experiences. Download the Autograph app in either the Apple App Store or Google Play today. Autograph, where unhinged fandom meets unreal rewards. You can just also go to link.ag.fan/ISB Media. Very important you put that ISB Media on there. It lets them know that you heard it from us, and we greatly appreciate that, because we'd love for you to support those who support us. Without our sponsors, we can't bring this content to you. So also, if you're a small business owner out there, we'd love to have you as a sponsor. It's very inexpensive and cost effective. So just reach out to me. Let's see. Looking for any comments on the chat box to get us started this morning. But I saw something that was a question in the Hoosier.com, and the threads in there was, and I'm going to alter it a little bit. But the original question was, how important is it to Indiana fans that you have Indiana kids on the roster? And my tweet is, how important is it that you have the elite Indiana kids on the roster? And that is because there are always elite players, even in down years like this year. This year is not next year's class, obviously a lot stronger. We talk about Trent Sisley and Braylon Mullins and Jalen Harrelson, amongst others, all the time. High-ranked guys. This year, you've got Flory Badunga, who was ranked very high, but he went to Kansas. He did not stick around to Indiana, but he's a quasi-Indiana kid. He went to high school here, but he's from the Congo. So I'm not sure if how much that counts, but he went to high school here. But you've also got Jack Benter, guys like that. Trying to think of the other kid, Kanan Catchings from this class. But how important is it to Indiana fans that you land the elite Indiana players as opposed to an elite player from, say, anywhere else, from Hawaii, Kentucky, New York? It doesn't matter. Is it just about having the best players? I saw a lot of people answering that. And then someone also said, I'm also over the Indiana thing for coaches. I don't care. I want a coach who, is just a great coach. And that has nothing to do with the current coaches or anything. It was just a generalities, just in generalities we're talking about. But I certainly, because there has been this revival of, like, for the Indiana coaching position to be filled by an quote unquote Indiana guy. Well, Bob Knight was the first basketball coach ever hired at Indiana that was not an Indiana guy, that didn't come from Indiana, go to Indiana. He had no Indiana ties whatsoever, but he has certainly established a long and lengthy list of those that fell behind him. But just some questions to get some thoughts, things going. Yep, the House versus NCAA settlement is all but a done deal, I think. It's not quite done, but last night the Board of Governors approved the settlement, and that's going to go a long way in getting certain players or payers played back to 2016. Why does it go to 2016? I mean, if I'm a guy from 2015, I'm kind of pissed. I mean, this is not life-changing money, but I've got to look through this to see. I know earlier the figure was right around $6,000 a year is what it would have been. But the NCAA's Board of Governors voted last night to agree to settlement terms in the House versus NCAA and related antitrust cases. This is coming from ESPN. That joins 3 power conferences thus far in moving forward with a historic change in the way for college athletes or college sports athletes and how college sports are operated. The Big 12 and the ACC voted to accept the settlement terms Tuesday, and the Big 10 joined them on Wednesday. The remaining 2 defendants named in the lawsuit are the SEC and the Pac-12 minus 10. I guess I should call them. I guess those teams still get a vote as the Pac-12 team, since it is not. It goes on through the end of this season. But the NCAA board vote was expected, but perhaps looms more symbolically. The board voting in favor of a settlement that would allow schools to pay players represents a formal serving of a decades-long tether to unpaid amateurism. The settlement terms state the NCAA will provide more than almost $2.8 billion to former athletes over the next decade for back damages related to the association's name, image, and likeness restrictions. According to sources, the conference has also agreed to create a forward-looking system that will allow schools to pay roughly $20 million per year in permissive revenue sharing to athletes. There's the important one. Where I lost my spot. Those direct payments, which is an unprecedented paradigm shift in college sports, would likely begin in the fall of next year, 2025. By settling, the schools and the NCAA avoid going to trial, where they could have been on the hook for damages in excess of $4 billion if they lost. What's another billion? Which legal experts considered a likelihood, considered the NCAA's recent poor record in court cases. Of course, have they ever won? According to sources, the plaintiffs will also agree to dismiss 2 other pending antitrust cases against the NCAA that could have potentially added billions of dollars in damages to an already daunting total. So they're going to get paid going forward, especially, but it's also going to go back. 8 years, and I've got to research more to find out why that date was chosen. But we've got to take a break. We've got lots more coming up. Shannon Griffith joins us. We're going to talk some football. I had the chance to speak with Jamison JT Kitna over the weekend. He's the son of former NFL quarterback John Kitna, and they're chatting with IU, and IU's chatting with him. We've got more happening. Brought to you by Autograph app, where real fans get unreal rewards. Just go to either your Apple App Store or Google Play today. Download the Autograph app. Go to link.ag.fan/ISB media. Tag that in there. We're back with Shannon Griffith right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. Am I good?
Ooh, you got some echo going on.
That's what I was wondering. Hold on here for a second. Been issues all over the place today. Let's see here. Does that help?
It's louder, but I still hear the echo.
I don't know what's going on.
Let me see if there's anything on my end I can do. I don't know that I can with that, but we can try something.
Yeah, let me see something.
I'll be right back.
Me too. Warm up the coffee.
All right. I'm back in my seat. What you got for me, Shannon? Oh, you're muted on your end. I don't know if you did that or not. Shannon, make sure on StreamYard you hit the little microphone button. You may have unmuted yourself, or muted yourself, I should say.
There
we go.
Testing
there we go.
one.
Much better.
1, 2,
much
3.
Better.
I don't know
good.
what's going on.
Do you hear me? No, you're
but
good.
For yeah, I can hear you good now, but I was having all types of echoing, and I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, that's interesting. It sounded like you were coming through on a space microphone or something.
Yeah, on my Roadcaster, for whatever reason, my input was messed up. I tell you why, because I'm on the wrong. Hold on.
Echo. Pause. I've got.
We got about 30 seconds, guys.
The numbers. Shooby-dooby-dooby-doo.
Testing 1, 2.
There we go. You sound great.
Testing 1, 2. Testing.
And real quick, Jim, since we're coming back, I've got 2 questions from the Jameson Kitna interview that we can use. They're both about the staff, so we can do that.
Lovely.
All right, here we go, guys.
No matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by The Chop Shop, home of the Indiana football and men's basketball coaches shows. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Thursday. Man, the week's flown by. It's about over with. All kinds of things happening. Indy. But that's not what we're going to be talking about right now. Of course, today's media day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I will be heading there as soon as the show is over. You talk to the drivers, and then last year the on board staff from NBC, guys like Dale Jr., who I look forward to talking to again. I asked him about coming on the show last year that was not my question to him. I asked him something else, but this was afterwards. And you actually got to walk up and just talk to him. And he said he would come on. And then his guy said, yeah. And so I emailed it, and he's got a guy, of course, that does that. Well, I can't. Well, he's kind of busy right now. I'm like, BS. But anyway, I'm going to ask him again, Shannon. Shannon Griffith joins us now. Shannon, over the weekend, Rivals had an invite-only camp up at Decatur Central High School, or down there for you. Lots of talent there, man, in all ways. I saw some corners that were good, but a lot of quarterbacks that could throw the ball. And this was so weird. I'm just standing there behind it because they have two alternating lines. These guys may not have been alternating at the time, but I was just standing behind the quarterbacks watching them throw. And man, this dude made this, 40-yard throw to the corner of the outside of the end zone where nobody could get it but the receiver. I mean, it's like 2 yards outside of the end zone, but he caught it in bounds, of course. And I'm like, damn, that's a nice throw. And he comes back, and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Where are you from? Where do you go to school? What's your name? And Jameson Kitna. And I'm like, oh, I said, any relation? Just like that. And he goes, yeah, my dad's right over there. And I'm like, wow, cool. And I said, who are your offers? Who's talking to you? And he said, Cincinnati, such and such, in Indiana. And I'm like, oh, because I had no idea. I just saw him throw that nice ball, and that's the only reason I started talking to him. So we spoke, and I know he's been talking to Coach Dino about trying to get a visit set up, but it just, I know Dale Jr. has his own podcast. He's had it, Brian. He's had it for a number of years. It's the only podcast I watch. Oh, damn it. What was I saying? John popping in.
You got yourself off topic looking at the comments section, but you were talking about Jameson Kitna and his scholarship offers.
Yeah, I knew that, but I couldn't remember.
Tino. You're talking about Tino.
Oh, yeah. So he's been talking to Coach Tino, and they're trying to get a visit set up and all that goes along with that. I've checked back with him, and that has not happened just yet. But my point is that the quarterback's room is already jacked, stacked, and packed. I mean, it is, you've got Curtis Rourke, you've got Taven Jackson, who before the spring game, I unequivocally had already placed Rourke at number 1, Jackson at number 2, Tyler Cherry at number 3, Alberto Mendoza at number 4, and he's not even here. But all of them are good, talented quarterbacks. But to be constantly churning those guys in, that tells me the quarterback's room is probably not going to be a problem, ever going to be a problem for Indiana. That is going to be an area where they are just stacked. Mm-hmm. And last night, because someone commented something to me, and I'm like, they said, oh, the quarterback is going to be a full or busy room. And I'm like, my response was, that's the sign of a healthy program.
Yeah.
Because when you think of Alabama or Texas or those teams, what do they always have? Quarterbacks on top of quarterbacks. Ohio State, the freaking year they had 3 different quarterbacks take part and play a valuable role in winning a national championship. One went the entire season undefeated, I think. The second one won the Big Ten championship, I believe. And the third won the national championship game. It's like, that was nuts. But that shows you the depth that the big boys have. And so Kurt Cignetti is obviously a very, very important part to him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question that he enjoys quarterbacks that have a body of work that can be thoroughly evaluated. The Kitna kid is a really good quarterback. You know, he's 6'2", probably about 215, 220. And he can throw it, but he's mobile. That's the other thing about him that makes him a little bit more attractive. Now, some of the mid-majors now are pretty high on him. I don't think he's got any power fives as of right now. But,
yeah, he does not even have an offer from Indiana yet, to my knowledge.
Right. But with him going to these camps, being exposed to, you know, different people that have connections, I'm sure the phone was ringing, and, you know, it's highly unlikely they weren't aware of him. But you got to think about it. If it's like Juju Lewis, I mean, Juju visits, I think, the 30th of May.
Yeah.
And from all practical purposes, even though he's committed to USC, I don't think Indiana's out of the picture at all on the potential of them flipping him. So in this day and age, you've got to have a really strong quarterback room, because you could lose one in a hurry via injury during the season or someone jumping in the portal. And so it makes it a little more difficult to keep that talent in that room at a consistent level. So, you know, I look for them to take at least one every year. High school kid, that is. The only time they'll jump into the portal would be like in this year's situation with the new staff trying to bring in somebody that had something that they could work with, like Rourke. But the Kitna kid, by all practical measures, he has all the intangibles. Let's just put it that way. And he's moved around quite a bit because of his dad, because I think he played in Texas last year, and he's at Lakota East this upcoming year in Ohio.
Yeah, I was wondering I was like, man, is he coaching over at Cincinnati? Why are they in Cincinnati now?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if, like you said, is he coaching there with Cincinnati or not? But you can tell, being a kid of a quarterback that played in the NFL, that his dad's even helped in his development, just being around the game. And that's what's going to make him very attractive, just like a coach's kid is very attractive to guys, especially when they have the talent to back it up.
Absolutely. And you can tell this dude he's solid. I mean, you stand next to him. I'm 6'1", so I was like, all right, he's 6'2". They probably list him at 6'3". I will guarantee you, is he listed at 6'2" or 6'3"?
He's listed as 6'2" from everything that I've seen of him.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Usually they'll list you an inch higher because we're in cleats and But he's a legit 6'2".
And he's
also thick. He's not skinny.
Right.
He doesn't need to put on mass. He's there.
And he's come across that way on video. You know, strong kid, strong arm. Like, I've watched a couple videos of his from Huddle, and I can see the interest on him just growing over the next year.
Yeah, and a great point by Brian. I was talking about the depth at the quarterback spot, and he mentions how it bit Florida State in their butt last year when their starter went down, and all they had was a freshman who had no experience whatsoever. This guy was probably running for his life. But you have to have you just have to have it. Look at Indiana. Hell, we don't have to go any further in Indiana. Michael Penix, how many times did he go down?
Right.
Fortunately for them, they had at first you had Peyton Ramsey, who was more than a solid backup, and then Jack Tuttle, but then he got hurt. So part of that though is because Indiana's offensive line just sucked. So you got to be able to protect the guys, but that's not an issue anymore either. But regardless, you just have to be ready because you just never know. I mean, I always think of the movie, oh, daggone it, the one with Jamie Foxx in it, the football movie.
Oh,
quarterback. Oh, Al Pacino's the
coach. I can hear Al Pacino in the locker room.
I know John's not going to chime in because he wouldn't know this movie.
There's somebody in the YouTube world. Yeah.
Somebody on the message board will hit us up with that. I cannot believe I'm drawing a blank. It's a great movie. I love it. It had a lot of stars in it in playing that actually played. The best of all, though, was your boy at linebacker. He played his role just like he played football. Lawrence Taylor, any given Sunday.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Justin. That is a great. I love it. Most of the time, they don't. I don't like those kind of movies because they don't do them justice. But they did so many things right with the guys in the locker room at halftime getting IVs. Some of it was overboard, of course, but I actually like that movie.
Oh yeah, those are all good movies in that regard. But I tell you, the other thing with the quarterback room, and you
comes down to a game of inches.
is you reference the Ohio States of the world with 3 or 4 guys that are all 5 stars and rarely leave a program. Well, when you win, you're going to get guys willing to stick around for their turn. And that's one thing that Coach Cignetti is, that's what they've got to be able to do to keep a quarterback room that meets the standard that they're looking for with winners in it. And as he progresses along, as long as they're successful and they've got kids in that room, then they're going to have a chance to get some of these big name kids like a Juju Lewis, or it may come down to Jameis Kent at some point, but he's going to always have a quarterback probably in a recruiting class unless for some reason they double up one year.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, if we've gotten to a stage where athletes, they don't want to wait. And they want to rush everything instead of taking the year or possibly 2 to grow, to learn, to understand. Football is different. There's a reason that you have to have, I don't know if it's 3 years of college or just have to be a certain age, but there are no 19-year-old guys playing in the NFL. There are no 18-year-olds playing in the NFL. There's a reason for that. You want to talk about a man's sport? It is a man's sport by the means of these guys have trained professionally for a long time, and it is just dangerous for those who don't know the ins and outs. But we'll hear from JT Kitna later. What is the latest from you, and what's up next?
Going to have Brian Alt on today, the Rivals scout guru. Talk a little bit about the landscape that is out there for Indiana, what he's hearing on the ground as it pertains to players like a Jamison Kitna. What is that overall feeling of this Indiana staff as now that they've been out on the road, and kind of what he feels already about some of the commitments that maybe IU has gotten and kids that he thinks Indiana's on pretty good right now. So we'll get a full rundown of the pulse of the recruiting world today. and looking forward to have Brian on.
Boom, 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 boom. Me too, brother. Appreciate you as always.
You too, my man. You guys have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That's Memorial. See, of course, I forgot. You too, brother. Appreciate you. We got lots more coming up, including the incomparable Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Remax Realty and Cheryl Sizemore. For those of you in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, Cheryl and her 22 decades of experience can be the difference between getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. We're back with Bob Kravitz right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a home.
What's up?
Good morning, Bob.
I was talking about
Hey, Jim.
Beeman, Willie Beeman.
Can we keep this a little short today? I got to run out to the track for a bunch of interviews that start at 10:30.
Yeah,
Oh.
Sure. I'm running out there today. As
We're
soon
up
as I get
against it at
done.
9:30 anyway, Bob. That's our hard out for this one. So
Okay.
if that worked for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
The players' interviews start at 10. How long do those go?
All day. I mean,
Yeah.
they just keep bringing them in one after another, after another, after another.
Will Kyle Larson be there?
I think so. I would assume so. I mean, all the drivers are there.
I'm leaving as soon as the show's over to head
Yeah,
there
I'm
as
gonna.
well.
I mean, I think I am. I'm going back and forth, but I'm just not even sure what day I could write it. Because I'm so Pacer centric right now, and it's gonna freaking rain like crazy on Sunday.
That is that's a concern for two reasons. A, of course, the race, but B, and much more importantly, I don't want to just drive up there and get caught up in a damn mess of people for no freaking reason.
I may not
even
go on Sunday just because I'm just counting on it being rained out. Yeah, it's 90% chance all day.
Now, it's a good thing that is a good thing to talk about though when it comes back, about what does that change the perception of Kyle if it gets rained out and it moves to Monday? The perception of Kyle Larson doing the double, how much has changed there? Because it's
I mean, obviously he's not going to be able to do it, or he can go down to Charlotte?
He's going to be able to do it, but it'll be on separate days.
But it's not that big of it's not as big of a deal. I'll be honest with you. I have paid virtually no attention. What is behind me? Wait a minute.
Is there a
Oh,
ghost?
I see it. Never mind. I've paid virtually no attention to the 500 this year. I've just been so, Pacers and fever that.
What do you want to know, man? Saturday qualifications were good, but Sunday was exciting. And something I talked about yesterday is how IMS, and I'll bring this
Jim,
back
we only got
up.
a couple seconds before you get into
I'll
your
wait.
thought.
All right, we'll bring it up
Here we go.
CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined by the incomparable Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com, brought to you by Freethink. Whether it's 24 or 200 shirts needed for a recreational softball league, Freethink Apparel meets your printing needs. Their team of industry experts work with you to design a professional-looking, sales-generating web store for your custom designed apparel, promotional merchandise, large corporations to small businesses, high school sports to national accounts. Freethink Apparel delivers no matter where you are. Visit freethinkapparel.com today and get printing. Welcome in Bob Kravitz. Bob, a lot to talk about. First, the NCAA settlement is about done. There are 2 conferences, I think, that are yet to approve it. The Big Ten is not one of those. It's the SEC and the Pac-12 -10 conference that have to go forth, which I'm sure that they will. But my question, and you may not know this, but why does it go back to 2016?
I have absolutely no idea. All I know is this is the sum total of everything I understand about this settlement is smaller conferences are going to get screwed. And this is what we expected all along, was that there'd be a few super conferences and they would get all the money and everybody else can go get bent.
Well, I meant as far as players, the players getting paid. Why? I'm wondering why this affects payers getting back. They're going to back pay these players back to 2016.
Oh,
and
good
I'm like,
for them. Okay, I misunderstood you, Jim. I'm sorry.
like, how did that number, that year come to be about?
Maybe it's grandfathered. Maybe that's when I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Maybe that's when the suit was filed. I don't know.
That's maybe so. Maybe so. We'll ask a smart person to help us out.
But if that happens, what's going to stop somebody that was an athlete in 2012 or 1998 to do the same, or Steve Alford to say, "Hey, I want my day back that you took away for appearing on a freaking charity calendar."
Yeah, that would seem to be a conundrum, but I don't have the answer to that. What a great guest I am, aren't I?
Well, I love to put people on the spot. That was actually putting you on the spot because I know you've been busy with the Pacers activity, which is deep, and we'll get to that in a second. The Fever, 0-5, baby.
Yeah, I mean they're playing better. I'm still trying to figure out how Aaliyah Boston missed a wide open layup the other night at home against Connecticut. They're getting better. Caitlin is putting up her numbers, but there's a reason why this franchise hasn't been worth the crap in 7-8 years. I mean, they're just not good. And when you get back-to-back number 1 draft choices, that's a pretty clear sign that you're awful. They won 5 games, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. So they haven't been good in a long time. It's just, you just got to be patient and, go to the games for Caitlin Clark, and hopefully the rest of her team is able to follow suit and start playing better basketball. But they got some young talent, and they have played better the last 2-3 games.
If they keep losing, how long will this Caitlin Clark effect hold out?
Boy, that's a great question. I think it's got legs. I think it's got staying power because it's not just Caitlin Clark. You look at the rookie class that came out with Angel Reese and Cameron Brink and all the rest and all the established stars, the Tarazis and folks like that. I think women's basketball has really turned a corner. And late in the season, will they start getting closer to maybe 10, 12,000? I guess that's possible. I mean, I don't know how long they're going to sell out, but I really do think that the worm has turned in women's professional basketball, and that's a great thing.
Pete's saying yes, that when I had Mike on a week or 2 ago, he did say that's when the suit was filed. So chalk one up for me, and twice for knowing the answer and for having better guests on that know the answer.
Oh, you're the worst.
I know it. I'm terrible. The Pacers. Damn it.
Damn it.
Damn it. That's all you can say is son of a Oh my God, you can't get any closer to getting an unbelievably valuable win than they did the other night in Boston, going to overtime and losing. Damn it. That's one you will look back and you'll really bite a finger off.
Yeah, that's, I really felt and still feel that the Pacers need to win one of these two games in Boston because they don't have Kristaps Porzingis. And you saw how they took complete advantage of Al Horford, who's 92 years old. You saw how they took advantage of him in game one. So, without him, it's a really big difference. So they need to win one of these two games, I believe, to have a chance to get this thing to 7. That was painful, man. It was painful. We were watching, and I was like, what is Halliburton doing? I mean, not only dribbling the ball off his foot, but putting up a shot early in the shot clock when they're up 3 with less than a minute left. He admitted he bleeped up, and he used, the F-bomb, and he's right. He played a really fine game. They all did. I mean, Siakam and Nembhard and Nesmith and McConnell. I mean, Toppin, Miles was excellent. And that's the shame of it, is to waste a really good offensive performance. At the same time, it's hard to win when you turn the ball over 21 damn times, and the free throw disparity is what it was.
Yeah, that's always going to be something to talk about. And before I forget, I've got to give you credit. On this very show, I don't know if it was 1 week or 2 weeks ago, but I think it was after game 5, the beatdown.
Right.
And we were talking about that, and you said, you just like, I already picked them to win in 7 anyway. It doesn't matter, without hesitation. And I saw someone tweeted out that no Indy media picked the Pacers at all. And I'm like, hold on. I
guess I'm not part of the media anymore. I'm a part of the independent media now. So I guess I don't count. I'm not in the big J. I'm not a big J journalist anymore. No, I mean, I
expand their reading.
I had a real feeling about the Bucks series. I picked the Pacers to beat the Bucks in 6 because it was pretty clear that Antetokounmpo wasn't coming back, and it was a really bad matchup for the Milwaukee Bucks. The Pacers, owned them during the regular season with Antetokounmpo playing. And then I really felt like, look, I had no idea that Anunoby was going to be out early in the series, but you just felt like they were going to run out of steam at some point. I really felt like if they could get them to a game 7, and that game 3, that Nembhard shot changed everything. But if they could get them to 7, they could go into New York and beat them, because they played well in games 1 and 2. And I just felt like they had legs. They went deep. They played 9 guys. And the New York Knicks had a very, very compromised bench with all those injuries.
Absolutely. And hopefully they've got another game tonight. How do they rebound to that? Is there a hangover from that loss, or can they come back with that same effort?
I think they can. And I don't know the record exactly, but it's something like 25-12 after a loss. So they have shown themselves to be pretty resilient. I think Boston is going to be a better team because they've had to spend the last 2, 3, 4 weeks listening about how they sleepwalk in game 2s in the playoffs. They lost game 2 at home in the first round and the second round, so they're going to be keenly aware of that. But I look, if the Pacers could just clean up the turnovers, I mean, 21 of them. And they've got to be a little more aggressive going to the basket and trying to draw fouls. I realize that Boston defends without fouling. The numbers are going to be skewed this whole series, but they've got to get themselves on the line once in a while. The big thing, though, is the turnovers. You can't turn the ball over 21 times I don't care how well you shoot from the field.
No, not at all. And the Pacers play tonight at 8 at Boston. And this game is important for a couple of reasons. One, of obviously winning one on the road gives you a leg up, period. And to have been that close the other night, wow, that's heartbreaking. They get another opportunity. And they get another opportunity with Boston not having Kristaps Porzingis, who is now projected to come back by Game 4.
I saw Woj on ESPN the other day say that Porzingis could come back Game 4 at the earliest. So that, that's a best case scenario for Boston. But he's a complete game changer because he's one of the best rim protectors in the league. And you saw that Boston didn't have that in Game 1. I mean, Miles had his way. Guys got into the paint and did whatever they want. And you had Horford and drop coverage, and it just didn't work for Boston. So I think, they need to take advantage of the time that Kristaps Porzingis is not in the lineup for sure.
Yeah, he hasn't played since April 30th?
Yeah, something like that. And you got to wonder, where's his game gonna be when he comes back? I mean, you have an injury that lasts that long, you're not going to just suddenly get back in the lineup and play great. We saw how Anunoby played in Game 7 coming back from an injury. So who knows? I mean, clearly Boston is a better team with Porzingis. But will he be the type of player that he has been after a long layoff and an injury?
Yeah, you mentioned rim protection. He's a beast defensively.
He's 7'3". I mean, my God.
He holds teams at 44% shooting in the paint. That's pretty good.
That's really damn good. So I don't think tonight is a must win, but they need to at the very least win their 2 home games and hope like crazy that Porzingis is out for a little bit longer, because I think he's a guy who could really change this series.
The Indianapolis 500 comes up this Sunday, probably on Monday now because of the weather. We'll see. But today is media day. Bob is heading out there as soon as he finishes with me. I'm heading out there as soon as I finish with the show to meet and talk with the drivers, whatnot. But my big question is about Kyle Larson. All the talk going into how time sensitive it would be for him to finish the race and get to Charlotte to run the Coca-Cola 600, which starts at 6. And now if it rains and it's moved to Monday, all of the luster, a lot of the luster seems to fall off of it, but there's still going to be great interest in a guy who's coming from another series and is not a regular driver because he has performed well. He qualified in 5th, so he's a player.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. This is not some dope showing up and throwing him in a car and
it's not the Jim and Bob. It's not the Jim and Bob show showing up to run the 2-seater around the
really
track.
Good. Yeah, it would take a little of the luster off of it, certainly. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at my Indy weather bug or whatever the heck you call it. He may as well head to Charlotte now. I mean, they're calling for 90% chance of rain all freaking day on Sunday. All day. So that I'm not good at math, but 90% sounds not good to me.
So much for a day off Monday for me and you. I was looking forward to finally having something off, but ain't happening.
No, there's no rest for the weary.
Nope.
Who am I kidding? I don't work hard.
Well, I'll let you go so you can try to pretend that you do. Appreciate you as always. Make sure you are subscribing and following BobKravitz.com for the best in all Indiana content. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, man.
You betcha. Brought to you by Free Think. Don't forget, Whether it's 20 or 24 shirts needed for the softball league, baseball league, or anything else, merchandise of any kind. They can even wrap your car. But their team of industry experts, they work with you to design a professional-looking, sales-generating web store of your very own that you don't have to mess with. It's all created for you. So it doesn't matter if you're a large corporation or a small business, high school sports team or a national account, Freethink Apparel delivers no matter where you are. Visit freethinkapparel.com and get printing today. We're back with more in the second hour right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
All right, you can run Kitna.
I can do whatever I
want,
Mr. Man.
That is true.
Yes, we got too deep into Shannon.
It was okay. I just like, well, he'll just run it whenever.
I knew we were up against it with Bob, so I'm like, we'll play it later. We've got time.
That is true. We'll be all right.
Yep. My favorite is always talking to Dale Jr.
Did he ever do IndyCar?
Oh, hell no.
I didn't think so.
And I was thinking about Bob when I was up there the last time watching the cars during qualifying. And because Bob has had the unbelievably great fortune of being taken around the track in the old two-seater that I think is now retired, but it was driven by the one and only Mario Andretti.
Wow.
And I mean, I could just drop the mic right there and just walk off. It's over. You get taken around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway by Mario? What are you kidding me? Oh my God. But I was watching the cars and how fast they actually are. And if you cannot get a sense of the speed on TV. You just can't.
No, I believe you. I've only been to one like NASCAR style race. I mean, it was NASCAR.
And that doesn't come close to Indy.
No, I believe you. It was the night race at Daytona, though. Maybe I guess maybe I went 10 years ago. Something like that.
I think NASCAR probably reaches top speeds of like 190 even at Indy, or at now Talladega. They've got the restrictor
plates. Yeah.
In places Daytona, they keep the speed down on purpose, but not these guys, right? No restrictor plates, baby. They get up to 240 miles per hour. Now, that is not during the race. They won't be that fast during the race. That's during like qualifying and things like that. But still, 240 miles an hour.
Wow.
That does not even compute in the brain. But when you watch it, like when I was leaving, I sat up there. Oh.
Yeah, here we go.
With Revesco Real Estate for additional information, 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. I hope you're having a good one. Brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East, located off College Mall Road in Bloomington. Hoosier Hanks East has an array of custom pizzas, Strom's, baked wings, mac bowls, fresh salads, and so much more. Dine in or carry out or have Hank cater your next event. Hoosier Hanks is a great place to watch the games, gather with your team after the game, or use their exclusive party room for a game or meetings or whatever. You can order online at HoosierHanks.com or visit them at 1285 South College Mall Road. Whether you're in Bloomington or coming to visit for games or to visit the kids, great place to go to take them, hang out, easy and relaxing place. So make sure you stop by and take care of those who help us bring this content to you. Finished up with Bob Kravitz, who is heading out to the track now to speak with the drivers, and it is not looking good for Sunday. Hell, it's not even looking good for today. What am I saying? Although it feels amazing. Last night, I remember I was actually I went to Louisville yesterday for the second day in a row. Well, I didn't quite make it to Louisville the first day. Did I tell that story yesterday, John? About thinking.
Yeah, you talked about getting your days mixed up. Yes. Oh, of course.
Well, I didn't get the day mixed.
My microphone on.
I didn't get the days mixed up. I got the day of the event, and I didn't even get it mixed up. I had to put in double reminders, and I just did not. I saw the reminder, and it said Fred Calgill's deal, and I didn't open it to see that reminder said tomorrow. So, man. But anyway, it happened yesterday, and it was awesome. I have some pictures I should have sent in. But Fred Calgill, for those of you that live outside of the southern Indiana, Louisville area, he's a Louisville and a Kentucky sports legend as far as broadcasting goes. He has been at WOKY for over 30 years, and it's where I basically got my start. I had already had an internship set up with the number one station in Louisville. I was doing some stuff with a guy named Dave Conrad, who then was the sports director there, and I was good to go. And I, at the time, was the sports information director as a kid. I was in college at IU. Got a job as a sports information director with a friend, Greg LaRock, who handled the North. I handled the South, and would go around to different media places, meeting them, pushing the game, promoting the game, whatnot. And but I was using it still as an opportunity to meet these people. And I remember meeting Fred, and he offered me an internship, and I'm like thinking, well, I already have one, at a Louisville station. They had just switched from CBS to ABC, which was a moronic decision by their OGM, but WOKY was the number 3 station at the time. And I'm like, I don't make very many smart decisions, but for whatever reason, I made one then because I thought, you know what? They're the number 3 team. They will use me like a little stepchild. And I mean, abuse me. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to do as much as possible. And they did. I was also fortunate because they had something called the 24-hour news source at the time, where they did news breaks every 30 minutes, every day, all night. And so I was anchoring overnight news like 3 days a week while still in summer school. I was down at IUS. It was weird. I'd be in class and somebody would go, "Did I see you on TV last night?" Which it was kind of funny. But getting that allowed me to then work for the sports department, not just be an intern, but I had a full load of full-time school going, a full-time internship, which was 40 hours a week, then anchoring the overnights, and then doing some other work for the sports department, like getting to cover Howard Snellenberger every Tuesday, covering the games, which was a blast. But Fred was a great mentor, and his coaching tree that I call is utterly amazing. It's like Bob Knight. If you could look under it, the lead anchor at the biggest station in Lexington worked for Fred. There are people in other parts of the country that worked for Fred. The guy that's taken his place, Kent Taylor, was behind me as an intern at WLKY. He is going to replace Fred there. Dave First, who is the vice president of communications at IndyCar now, formerly at WTHR in Indianapolis, longtime sports anchor there. We interned together, along with John Hartung, who was out in Los Angeles. But my point is his mark is just unbelievable of the people that were touched by what he did. So grateful. I wanted to give him a shout out of great appreciation. And while I'm thinking about it, David over at the Seminary Square Kroger here in Bloomington, I was in there the other day picking up some things and walking out, and just walking out the door and heard somebody say, "Hey, Jim." And I turned around and I didn't recognize the person, and I could see his name tag, and he goes, "Hey, watch the show every day. I really love it." And I'm like, "Wow, thank you so much." And we chatted for a little bit, but I want to give David a shout out. Appreciate you very much. Appreciate everybody that takes their time to follow us in any form, whether it's on 1380 The Fan, Fort Wayne's only sports station, or 97.7 ESPN The Ref down in Evansville. Always the right call. Also 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, WJOB. We appreciate everybody, or if even on YouTube. We appreciate all of you guys. I was able to talk to JT Kitna over the weekend, Jamison Kitna. He is the son of former NFL quarterback John Kitna, and he has been talking back and forth with Indiana, with Tino Suntory, about setting up a visit. And like I said earlier, it was very odd that I started talking to him. I was just standing there watching the guys throw, and he made that throw that I was like, "Oh man, what a sweet ass throw." And just started chatting with him. And then Indiana came up, and I'm like, okay. So afterwards I spoke with him. John, you actually could let the whole thing roll. I know you're probably not set up for that now. But
well, here's what we could do. I've got it set up from about a minute in. We can let it roll from that point forward if you want to.
All right. Here's a part of the interview with JT Kitna. You can find the rest of it. It's uploaded on the YouTube channel, so you can catch all of it. But here's my conversation with JT. You've been in contact with Indiana, or vice versa. Indiana's been in contact with you. You've been there a couple times on unofficials. What have you thought so far, and what do you think of the new staff?
I love it there. I love it. Staff, they're all about winning, and that's like the number one goal. And so I love that, and I love what they're doing, turning that place around and trying to get the culture back to a strong culture, what they built at JMU. So, I love that staff. They're all about winning, and that's the main goal. So
let's start with Coach Cignetti. I know you've not had a lot of conversation with him, but some. What's that been like, and what have been your takeaways?
Short and sweet, straight to the point. It's about winning. It's about building the right culture. And if you're not willing to be part of that culture, then you got to go. But I love Coach Cignetti. He's great guy.
And what are your thoughts of what he's going to be able to do at Indiana?
With what I've seen so far, just bringing in the right guys in the transfer portal, and building that place and turning that place around. From the top down with the higher ups. Just working with everyone, and trying to just get the right culture and the right people around the whole program. It's not just the players. It starts from the top down, and he knows how to build it, and he's doing that right now. So I think he'll get it turned around in no time. So
I know you're also talking to Coach Tino. How's that been?
It's been great. I love Tino. He's sharp, and he's always coaching. That's one thing. He's always going to be coaching. So I like Coach Sincere. He's about his stuff. He's about football, and he'll have fun outside of football. But when the business is happening, he's getting to it. He's getting to work.
And you've been to Indiana, I know, not on an official visit, but your takeaways from just being there as the school.
I love that school. I love that town. It's a really nice college town. It's pretty close to home, so that's a plus. But I like that town a lot. They got some. I've had some good food spots down there, so it's been good.
When are you looking to make a decision on where you'll be going?
I like to take all my official visits and see what happens from there. But it'll probably be around the time of the season. I'm not sure if it's after or before the start of the season, but sometime during that.
So you're not far away.
Yeah, not far away, but we still got a lot of work to do in this recruiting game. Taking all my visits and everything. So we'll see.
besides Indiana, where are some of the other places you're looking at or looking?
You know, Liberty and UAB. I know that staff at UAB really well, and I'll be taking an official down there, and same with Liberty. So we'll see where everything lands, but yeah.
That's it. Jim, are you still with us? Well, so Jim's troubleshooting some stuff, but yeah, that was Jameson JT Kitna as he was having a discussion over the weekend with Jim just about his recruitment and being involved with Indiana.
I assume we're done there.
We are. I was trying to fill some time while you were coming back with us. But yes,
not sure what happened, but work on.
Now your microphone's gone, Jimbo. Yeah, I don't know that he knows.
Jameson JT Kitna, the son of former NFL quarterback John Kitna. There's a piece about him up on thehoosier.com right now. And you can also find the full interview at Indiana Sports Beat YouTube page. So there's that. I mentioned to Bob with Kyle Larson pulling the double, if it's rained out, boy, it takes some of the luster off of it without question. The extremes of it, the tests of driving 1,100 miles in one day, and not just the length, but it's the mental stress. That's the biggest thing about being a race car driver. They're sitting in those Indy cars for up to 3 hours, running average speeds of over 200 miles an hour in traffic. So you can't blink. You know how it is just driving down the road. If you take your eyes off the road for a second, all of a sudden somebody stops. Boy, well, imagine going 210 miles an hour and, you can't miss a thing. So that's part of the deal that's taken away. It's still an unbelievable achievement. But maybe this also gives him a better chance or better bill at finishing high. He's qualified fifth, like I said. He's up there. He has a shot. He's a player. Anybody that's up in that area, they have a shot. That means they have the speed. They may not be quite as fast as the Penske cars, which you've got to hope for a little luck. And sometimes that happens, whether it's with pit strategies or fuel mileage. There are so many things that go into managing these type of races. The drivers have to manage their tires, their fuel consumption, pit stops at the right time. It's just so much that has to go right. And that's why if you're in the game, you can win. Guys have won from all kinds of different positions. So we'll certainly see about that. But we've got to take another break. We'll be back in a minute with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria Island, Florida. Whether you're already in the area or you will be traveling down there, the Ugly Grouper is much more than just unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Tell them we sent you, and go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Can you hear me, Jim? Take that as a no, but that's okay. I'm assuming you're figuring it out. Uh-oh. You got me?
Yes. Yes, I did lose connection. And then every time I open it. All right, John, I'm going to go out and come back in, all right?
Okay, that's fine. I don't know if you can hear me say that, but that's fine.
Son of a buck. All right, so close.
Well. Russell, he had some headphone issues. He's just trying to recalibrate. That's what he's doing. Hey, Chris.
Hey, John.
Hey, so Jim is recalibrating he had some headphone issues, so he'll be in just a moment. Just want to let you know. I'm going to drop you out real quick, and I'll bring you back in whenever he's in and we're back rolling and stuff.
Okay.
All right. And Chris, if you can hear me, I may end up starting this segment with you, and he may just join in when he's ready. But I'll pull you in if that's the case. Looks like it might be the case, actually. All right. All right, Chris, I'm going to pull us back in.
Okay.
For 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda. Jim will be back with us momentarily, but Chris Denari of the Indiana Pacers now with us. Chris, where are you joining us from today?
I am on my front porch. I've got Archer, my 28-month-old grandson, with me. My wife is on her way to South Carolina to visit our other grandson. So Archer and I are on the front porch. For the people watching, I can flip around. Oh, he loves to sit up here on the front porch, and we watch cars and we play cars.
Well, shout out to Archer. I remember he made his debut appearance on Indiana Sports Beat Radio last week. But obviously, we're glad to have you with the fact that the Pacers have moved on to the Eastern Conference Finals up against the Celtics with the unfortunate result from Monday where they had the opportunity to take game one away from Boston on the road. Jaylen Brown hits that shot to send the game to overtime, and the Pacers aren't able to get it done. Just go ahead and give me your overall thoughts on what game one was like, and I guess how they can regroup tonight in game two.
Yeah, it was gut-wrenching. I was sitting in my basement with my wife watching, which is it's extremely hard for me because I'm used to doing games, right? And you can get nervous, but you have a job to do. In this sense, I had to watch it all unfold in those last 10-point-whatever seconds. You had three possessions that all went bad. You had the turnover, Jaylen Brown hitting the three, and then Tyrese really not getting a good shot at the end of regulation. But, John, I'll say all in all, I thought the Pacers played a really good game in a tough environment. They had three guys with double-doubles. Tyrese had 25 points and 10 assists. Pascal had double-figure rebounds. Miles Turner was terrific. So I really feel like if they play the same way, Now, again, somebody would say, are you going to shoot 50-some% again? But this is a team that has a lot of confidence. They have a lot of confidence against Boston, and I give them a good chance to win. I mean, Boston in its first two playoff series lost game 2 against Miami and Cleveland. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys come out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because the Pacers really haven't had a chance to rest at all, especially coming off their 7-game series. They had to pretty much jump right back on the plane, get to Boston, had a day's rest, and now they have another day's rest before tonight's game. But I'll say it'll be interesting to see if the Pacers, if one thing I talked with Dustin DePierre about earlier this week is obviously if you can take care of your home floor, the biggest thing is you got to at least steal one of those road games. And I feel like a lot of people always go to game 5 as being the most important one if you're the team that doesn't get home court advantage. What would you say is the best route if I guess if they don't take care of business tonight and get a potential road win against Boston, do you think that's kind of what needs to happen? I guess it would be at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a lot like the Knicks series. You fell down 2-0, then you went home. I've won game 6 and won game 7. I don't think you really want to again. But, hey, you'll do whatever it takes, right, to extend the series and to get to where you want to go. Here's the thing about Boston, though. They are undefeated at home. Playoffs. They won 2 road games in Cleveland. They won 2 games in Miami. The only loss were at TD Garden. And what's interesting, after their win on Tuesday in game 1, they are 16-14 at home in their last 30 playoff games at TD Garden. So they've been just a little bit better than 500 at home, and they've been really good on the road. So, it'll be a challenge and a test for the Pacers tonight to pick up a road win. But from what we saw on Tuesday night, I really think this team is more than capable.
Who do you think needs to be the X factor for the Pacers if they're going to find a way to win this series and get to the NBA playoff or NBA finals, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, I believe, and we saw it happen in game 7 of the Knicks series. I thought Aaron Nesmith was critical with the things that he can do defensively. And he's a good offensive player that really sort of slumped toward the end of the regular season and in the first couple of playoff series. But I thought he played really well in game 7 against the Knicks, and he had a really good game Tuesday night. You had all 5 starters in double figures. You had Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell in double figures. I mean, John, this was a typical Pacers winning game. 7 in double figures. The bench played well. But again, you're playing the best team in the NBA that most people think. I mean, they had the best record in the regular season. So you can play well and still not come out on top. So, but, I just think what's going to be interesting is I still believe that the Pacers have one of the best benches in the NBA. I do believe Boston's bench is a little questionable without Kristaps Porzingis. That means Horford has to start. They basically use Pritchard, Hauser, and Luke Cornett. Pritchard's a capable scorer. Hauser's a good 3-point shooter. You can take advantage of Cornett. So I think the interesting thing in the next couple of games before Porzingis has a chance to come back is, can the Pacers bench continue to take advantage of Boston's bench? And how many minutes will the Boston starters play? Because they were all well over 40 minutes. Now, the game was in overtime. But they're going to use their starters more than the Pacers because Rick Carlisle has more confidence in his bench, I think, than Joe Mazzulla has in his.
And on the other side of things, you've obviously got Dallas and Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals. And I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I guess going into this realm of things. But if you're the Pacers, or I guess if you're the Celtics as well, who would you rather see come out of that series and face off against in the NBA Finals?
That's a great question. I mean, it's different. Minnesota's a younger team full of energy. They're a lot like the Pacers, but they play the 2 bigs in Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. They've got Anthony Edwards, who, is an upcoming star in the NBA. And then you've got Dallas, who, has two Hall of Famers in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. So they're both a little bit different. That was an impressive win last night for Dallas on the road, especially coming back in the fourth quarter, because I thought Target Center was absolutely awesome last night. I mean, you know, those fans are as excited in Minneapolis as the fans are in Indianapolis to see their team in a conference finals. It's been 20 years for Minnesota. It's been 10 years for the Pacers. So, you know, I've been texting with a number of my buddies from Minnesota. Michael Grady, who is the voice of the Timberwolves, is an Indianapolis native. Jim Peterson, the analyst, is a really good guy. We've got a couple of people that used to work for the Pacers that now work for the Timberwolves. So it's really cool to see both these franchises that are up and coming in the Final Four of the NBA. And I think that's the biggest thing, John, since we last talked. You know, we talked last Thursday, and the Pacers were down 3-2, and they had to beat the Knicks at home on Friday and then win a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. And all of a sudden, it was a little surreal for me to think of the season. Who would have thought that in the middle of the season? So I'm just trying to take it all in. Absolutely want the Pacers to take advantage of this opportunity, and hopefully they can.
And I guess flipping the script a little bit over to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, obviously the Indianapolis 500 scheduled to take place this weekend. But one thing that's been a topic of conversation, especially as we've gotten closer to the weekend, is the weather and how there's a very high chance of rain and potentially thunderstorms on Sunday when the race is supposed to take place. What do you kind of, you know, take away from that potentially happening from your perspective, how that could affect the, you know, the track and Kyle Larson wanting to do the double? And I guess I feel like the likely answer is you can move the race to Monday, but it's definitely not ideal conditions potentially for Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
No, it's also not ideal conditions for me, John, sitting up in turn 4 with no cover. I mean, now they're not going to run in the rain. They're not going to run in the rain.
Yeah, that's going to be insane, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not going to run in the rain, so we know that. But, you know, what if it rains? All of a sudden on Monday, you'll have the Indianapolis 500 in the afternoon and Game 4 for the Pacers Monday night. I mean, that's a real possibility. So I can tell you right now, as I'm, you know, this is a first for me, for those watching on Facebook. I'm walking down the path holding my phone stand doing this interview. It's sort of cool.
I know, it's like you're doing a little walking tour of wherever it is you're coming to us from.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to kind of getting into,
Mr.
I guess
Archer
you really,
is
you
sort
yourself.
of dictate what we're doing, and he's running down the path. He has not made it out to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this week, and maybe, I don't think he'll do it this year, but I'll tell you what, this kid loves cars. And so there was one guy had him, and we had Peacock on, you know, watching the practice sessions, and he just mesmerized.
Chris, I'm not sure you could tell on your end, but you're kind of cutting out, and maybe where you're roaming around. But you can hear me? Can you, Chris?
Yeah, now I got you.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you say Archer's kind of your guide at the moment. He's taking you around.
Yeah, he's holding my hand here, and there are many, many cars. You can see many, many cars going by.
Well, that's good. I tell you what, and I don't mean to get a little meta here, but trying to host a show, and I don't know where the heck Jim is at, and these here's what I'm gonna do here, Chris. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. We appreciate your time as always.
Okay.
Thanks for letting us know everything that your thoughts with the Pacers and, you know, IMS coming up this weekend, and enjoy your time with your grandson. And we will chat again with you next week, Chris.
All right. Thanks, John.
All right. Chris Denari from the Indiana Pacers joining us out and about, man on the street with his grandson, Archer. We are going to try to reconnect with Jim on the other side. And I just feel like I'm hanging out on my own right now. Everything's going wrong. Everybody's losing connection. And, sometimes we just got to roll with the punches sometimes. So you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda and Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. If you need that championship smile, obviously you need to reach out to Dr. J with Reynolds Family Dentistry. All right, we'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
All right. I'm going to go to my old reliable. Some of you who listen to the show on a daily basis probably pay attention to some of the music that I use on the show. There's a specific track that I always go to when I'm in a bind and don't have time to look for something unique, and that's the track I'm going to play coming back from this break. So, you like I said, many of you probably recognize this, the amount of times that I come back to it. I think I may have even used it one day this week already. All right. All right, what are we gonna do here? I might talk a little Indiana football from my perspective until Jim gets back. Some of y'all know I love Indiana football. It's like a drug because it ain't good for you. Being a fan of Indiana football isn't good for you. You're just guaranteed misery. But there's always hope, right? It's the beauty of being a fan. But we'll try and have some fun here. And sorry for no camera today. Oh, there's Jim. You with us, Jimbo?
I am.
Look at that. Right on time. Got about 10 seconds till we're back from break. So here we go.
Chop Shock Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, everybody. Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, brought to you by Fresh Fork, place where you can get meals delivered to you without the hassle of having to do it yourself. And I'm talking about good stuff with high quality proteins and salads delivered right to your door. And it is proudly fueling IU athletes. Now you can get it yourself. And if you use radio code radio20, you get $20 off the first order. Man, we had some technical issues today. That was odd. I lost everything there. Connection. I couldn't connect. I couldn't hear. And then nothing was working right. But that's the That's the deal with live.
That's the beauty of it. Sometimes you got to roll with the punches, and sometimes it works out, and other times it doesn't. I think if only the biggest issue I ran into was that Chris was having his own connection issues about halfway into the segment. So,
well, I saw he was looked like out in his beautiful backyard, which he
was out. He went out of
working on.
He walked out from off of his front porch and then was taking a walk down the street. It was like he was doing a little, man on the street type of stuff, except he was talking to us, not to people on the road with him.
Ironically, I thought I was going to have to go out to the back of the studios here, or the front, where I have planted some flowers here in recent days, trying to make it look nicer, put a touch to it, but not quite there yet. I bought some of those hanging flowers. I don't even know what the hell they are. They look good.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, my wife bought some of those.
Nice little buds on them. Good looking. The first two I got, I was on my way back from Louisville, stopped in Palmyra, place right there. And the first two I got, they were good looking, hung those up. But I didn't know you have to water them every day. I mean, I didn't know I was getting a dog, man. But yeah, you got to water those things every day. And I've been pretty busy of late. If you've noticed, let's see, Saturday and Sunday, we had the Indianapolis qualifying EYBL basketball and the Rivals camp on both Saturday and Sunday. So I had to go to all over Indianapolis for that. Monday was in Jasper for the IU Alumni Association of the Evansville chapter, their outing, scholarship outing. Tuesday, I mistakenly drove damn near to Louisville for an event that was actually yesterday, so which I had to turn around and do again yesterday. So I've just been on the go nonstop for a little over 2 months, 7 days a week. And the poor flowers, those two specifically, were they were neglected. And I had purchased a third on my way back on my second trip down to Louisville to go with them, and they were just damn near dead. I mean, it was ugly. And I was like, oh my God. So I just made sure they got watered up. Watered again last night when I got home, and they've perked up. One is, one's looking okay, starting to come back around. The other one, I'm like, come on, dude, you're lagging behind. So I hope that one makes it. But then I planted the front. There's no sun, so I had to find flowers which can live in the sun. And to Gritty said to get, and a friend of mine as well, Roberta, said to get Impatience. And I think that they're actually spelled quite a little bit differently, but I'm like, that's perfect for me. I'm impatient as hell. So I got those and put those in, but I need a lot more. I will, because I was down at a friend of mine, Mark and Roberta's last night, Helmer's, and she's got flowers all over the place, but it looks nice. Not just flowers, but plants and whatnot. And I'm like, man, I ain't got time for that crap. I ain't got time to be watering all those flowers. I was hoping that like yesterday's rain would get them, but the ones out front, they got nothing because they're too much tree foliage. And the ones on the back are kind of halfway under a deck, so they get nothing. And I'm like, man, that stinks. But that was my issue. So yeah, JT taking care of us. Of course, that's why he's here. He is the guy. I was out of touch. That's for certainly. I'm doing fine. Russell, I hope you're doing well as also. Let's see. Any questions that I missed? The Pacers online tonight. Hopefully they can get that win, man. Golly. Damn. That's all you can say is damn it. I mean, Bob knew exactly what I was saying when you say it, because you just can't forget. Oh, and speaking of forgetting, I don't want to forget that the upcoming Hoosiers at Huber's, people, that is only 1 week away. A week from yesterday, Wednesday. It's next Wednesday, the 29th, down at Huber's Orchard Winery and Vineyards, a great place to visit. And I suggest that if you're going to this event and you don't live right there where you're very familiar and have been to Huber's a lot, go early. There's a lot to see at Huber's. They have a distillery. They have more than just wines now. They're, of course, known for their wines, but they have tons of wines, but they have a distillery. They make their own bourbon, vodka, things like that. That's where the partnership of the Hoosiers for Good is from, those spirits, but they have other things, fruits, vegetables, fresh grown, baby, strawberries, all kinds of things. But it's also just a cool place to go to. And it's actually a cool place to go to on the weekends. They have music on like Sunday. It's a great place to take kids. Plenty of things for them to do as well. But Hoosiers at Huber's returns for its annual gathering. Like I said, it's Wednesday, May 29th. That is next Wednesday. Join Hoosiers Connect for an evening at Huber's Orchard Winery and Vineyards for this special event, usually for the Southern Indiana and Louisville Hoosier communities, but people come from all over. I've seen people from the guy that has the IU car that Woody drove in on a few years ago. I don't know where he's from, but he's been down there. So you've got that to chill on. It will feature head football coach Curt Cignetti. So this will be the public's first opportunity to really meet Coach Cignetti, to hear from him directly. Also, men's basketball coach Mike Woodson will be there. Players from Indiana's men's, women's basketball and football programs will be there. There will also be an autograph session afterwards. Proceeds from this year's event benefit Indiana's NIL program. The cost to attend is only $50 per individual. The dinner is phenomenal. Let's not forget about that. It's not just $50 to get in. You get it all. You can eat dinner. Doors open at 5:30. Program starts at 6. You can register online at inforindiana.com. Again, that's inforindiana.com. But let me tell you, that fried chicken dinner, people, hello, that's a staple that unfortunately we get to partake in the food because, I hate to miss out on that. But this has been a long time tradition that started with Bob Knight a long time ago, going down to speak for the Southern Indiana, Louisville, IU Alumni Association chapter. So this is something that has been going on for a long, long time. It's different now. It used to be just Bob Knight. Bob Knight commanded a room by himself. He didn't need any other coaches. He didn't need players. He didn't need anything. People came just to see Bob Knight. And that says a lot in itself, where you can pack a room like that. And he did. But now you've got multiple things, which is cool. And you heard JT Kitna earlier talking about Curt Cignetti. He hit it in a nutshell. And I wrote down something short and sweet about winning, culture. Those are the three things I wrote down while re-listening to that interview with him. And that's the deal. He doesn't sit down and BS and poo-poo and, you're going to be, I think you'll be great here. Nope. Straight, legit, honest, look you in the eye, tell you how it is, tell you how it's going to be, tell you what it'll take, tell you what you're going to need to do, tell you how you know you're going to need to be, tell you how much effort you're going to have to give. I think players resonate with that. And there's so much talk about NIL today. More and more, as I talk to players, whether it's with basketball or football, NIL is great, and it's an added cherry on top. But most of them that are recruits, at least, are looking right now, are looking for the right place to fit in, the right style for them, the right coaching staff for them, the right school for them. There's a lot that goes into this, a lot. And that may change for some of them. Obviously it does. When you see someone who is in the transfer portal and then you see that they're simply asking for X number, well, I'm not sure. I'm not saying that they're not going to play just as hard, but the goal there is obviously just to make as much money as possible. Well, that's not the only goal. A goal there is obviously just to make as much money as possible, which nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, I'm asking, are you going to take a little bit more from someplace that doesn't quite fit everything that you're looking for and want? I think that they will. They do. Some do and some will do that. But it's not just about NIL money, although it is obviously a very, very important piece of the puzzle. These guys and girls are still looking for fits, places that they fit, programs that they fit, schools that they fit. And it's good to hear that, because if it just turned into complete purchasing, well, that would just not be good for anybody, including the student athletes getting paid, because they will not have gone to the best place for them. Did they get the best education they could have gotten along the way? Is education being forgotten about by some of these guys? The ones I wonder about are the guys that are not going to play in the NBA. And I'll hit one up close to home for people, for fans of Indiana. Omar Ballo. I don't see him as an NBA player. He has no shot. He doesn't shoot outside. And I meant by no shot, I meant he doesn't shoot from outside. He is strictly a post player. And that's not, his game won't translate to the NBA, in my opinion. I haven't seen him play this year, haven't followed him much, but just because he's a post-only player, I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't see where that's going to work. How you can dominate in the NBA. Like someone like Kristaps Porzingis. He dominates the NBA, but he's 7'3". So it's going to be interesting. And then there's plenty of guys that are looking for exactly what I said. I think that's a lot of the recruits that we've talked about. Trent Sisley, definitely looking for the right fit for him, from the program to the coaching staff. Whether that's Purdue or Indiana, it will be one of those two, in my opinion. Doesn't mean anything, but in my opinion, this is a 2-horse race for his services. Braylon Mullins, on the other hand, well, that horse has kind of left the barn now. His recruiting has skyrocketed, as we've talked about already. He is getting more and more notice. Kansas, UConn, North Carolina. So his is going to change. Michigan. Can Indiana lock him down? That's the type of player Indiana needs to lock down, because this dude is the one you want. He's a shooter. He's a slasher. He's 6'5". he's a gamer, a baller. And earlier I talked about how important was it to Indiana fans that the Hoosiers go after Indiana guys. And I don't think it means jack squat just to be an Indiana guy. I think but the elite Indiana guys, well, that's a different story to me, because they are from Indiana, from your backyard. And if they're elite, those are the guys you need to be landing. And if not, you have to ask yourself, why can't we land the elite talent of our own state? Not we as in me, but the proverbial we. Or what did Big Lebowski say? Oh, man, the something we, I forget. Damn it. My favorite shows or movies. But that's the case. The recruiting class that they're chasing. Yeah, they're probably not going to land them all. It's possible. Maybe they do. I'm not sure that they could get Trent Sisley, Braylon Mullins, and Jalen Harrelson, but what a haul that would be. But those are the guys I'm talking about. Jalen Harrelson, another top recruit, top 10 recruit, but he's from Indianapolis. Got to land those guys because that's an elite player. That's not just any player. So, yes, I think those guys should and have to be priorities, and you have to land at a minimum some of them. Indiana cannot continue to let Purdue land all of those guys. And part of that has just been a timing thing. It really has been. When Woodson came in, I believe that they were behind on a lot of the Indiana guys because the previous staff had not gained any traction. Unfortunately, that previous staff, or I shouldn't say unfortunately, but that previous staff is still in place. But Indiana now has a chance to do what they haven't really done. They landed Trace Jackson Davis, but I really believe that Indiana landed Trace Jackson Davis more than anything. But this is the first. Flory Badunga, he doesn't count in my mind. He's a quasi Indiana kid, like I said. He's from the Congo. He already had favorites, college favorites before he got here, so the state didn't mean anything to him up until he arrived and played to Kokomo. So Five Left saying that most of the negative criticism about the program comes from local media and outlets and personalities, which makes it more difficult to recruit in-state kids. Well, I don't agree with that. Why do they give a flying crap what me or anybody else has to say? Why aren't they making their own decisions based on their own experiences, their visits, their conversations with the coaches, their official visits to the program, their unofficial visits to the programs, their conversations with the current players? That's what it should be based on. And I think that it is. It's not based on what me or anybody else says. It's just not. People can believe that, but to me, that is just an excuse for something not happening. That's just, I totally disagree with that completely and fervently. And there has been nothing to prove otherwise that is the case. Otherwise, why would you land anybody? If it's affecting those guys, why didn't it affect any of the other guys, other five-star guys? No, I'm just not buying that. And like I said, there's nothing to back that up. That's I hate to disagree with you, brother, but that is just I find that just to be an excuse. Their parents and families' opinions are swayed. Yeah, I'm not I cannot believe that. Steven says all the personalities here don't like Mike Woodson. I disagree with that. It's not about liking at all. I think he's a great guy. It's not about liking, but if you're saying that people should not mention things that are true, well, that's BS. That is the actual job of the media to talk about things that whether they're, and that's another thing. Fans get bent out of shape when somebody says something, whether it's Purdue or Indiana or Kentucky or Louisville, it doesn't matter. If you say something that is on their side perceived as negative towards anything, oh my God, it doesn't matter if it's true. He says, including me. It doesn't matter if it's true. They get bent out of shape. Well, guess what? Our job is to speak the truth. And other people's jobs is to do what their jobs are. This is a great conversation I'd love to pick up tomorrow because we're out of time. Damn it. That was to, well, let's pick up this conversation tomorrow. Don't forget. But appreciate everybody for joining us on today. And I love the people that disagree. I love getting conversations started. Big thanks to Shannon, Griffith, of course, the man, Bob Kravitz at bobkravitz.com, Chris Denari from the Pacers. Greatly appreciate him. John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines more than one way today. And of course, each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. So thank each and every one of you. Tomorrow, I'm planning on coming to you live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Fast Friday. Gosh, the weather not looking good for tomorrow, nor the race. So we'll see about how that goes. But appreciate you guys and looking forward to being back tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.